Hey everybody. Now, some of you may know this, some of you may not know this. What I do for work, I have been in the TV and the media business, documentary films, corporate videos, some radio stuff. I've been doing this for years. Okay, so that's what I do for a living. Of course, doing YouTube videos comes fairly natural. It's not hard for me. But of course, for years I've always been behind the camera. I wasn't accustomed to being in front of the camera until only just the last couple of years with my channel. Anyways, I have an idea. This idea was not mine to start with. Most great ideas aren't. A lot of them aren't. The idea that me and a number of other people have had is, let's make a movie. Let's make a movie about a hero, about a man that stood up to the Watchtower power. Now, movies have been made about these kinds of men for a long time. For example, there was a movie, actually several movies made about Martin Luther, the man that stood up to the Catholic Church. Now, he wasn't perfect and he had some flaws, but the point is that he's a hero to many because he stood up to the power, to the hierarchy that wanted to suppress the little man, that wanted to rule the world by using some Bible scriptures, by using that book to club people over the head with their dogma and their doctrine. All right, so movies have been made about heroic people, men and women that have stood up and fought the power. There's others. William Tyndale, he gave his life to bring the Bible to the common man, and he was burned at the stake by the lovely Catholic Church. Now, at least today, the Catholic folks are a lot more open-minded, and they won't disfellowship you, or worse, not spiritually execute, but literally execute you anymore. And they have publicly apologized for that. So that's something. At least we're making some progress there. But we have these famous people, and people are inspired by their stories. Now, you probably are already thinking, if you're a former Jehovah's Witness, or if you are an enlightened, fading witness, or an undercover stealth witness, then you probably know who I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a hero that fought the Watchtower power. He didn't go after it. He didn't come looking for it. He wanted to just mind his own business. He wanted to just work as a caretaker, live in a little mobile home house in Alabama, and mind his own business. Time magazine wanted to interview him. He said, no, thank you. People wanted to hear his story. He said, no, thank you. But once the governing body decided to trump up a new rule and get him disfellowshipped, that was when he knew that he had to speak. Now, of course, you probably know we're talking about Ray Franz. Ray Franz, former governing body member. What a hero he is to many of us, because we read Crisis of Conscience. For me, that was the first thing that I read that woke me up to the lies and made me realize I am in a damaging, ignorant religious group that has been controlling me. I was their slave. I was a good slave, too. I was a very good slave for many years. So you, me, a lot of us owe this enormous debt to Ray Franz. He did not want glory. He did not want power. He was not looking for money. He did what he did out of conscience, out of conviction. And this is one of the reasons that we're so proud of him. And he has helped literally hundreds of thousands of people all over the world with what he wrote. And by his example, his calm, humble example. So now, like I said, a couple of years ago was when I first got the inkling of this idea. And there happened to be a fella that was posting on JWStruggle.net, and he calls himself John Cedars. What a lovely guy. He and I became friends actually, we're probably talking 3 years ago. And John and I started messaging with ideas about how we were going to make the Ray Franz movie. I even went and bought the domain name rayfranzmovie.com. There's nothing there. Nothing there yet. So I have this big idea, and I happen to be in filmmaking. I'm hoping to get on a documentary soon as doing something. And I'm hoping to be able to continue to pursue that. My day job is that right now. Not as artful of jobs, of projects, but, training videos, educational videos, things like that. Anyway, I have some skill. I have some knowledge of the business. I got some ideas from different friends of mine. Cedars and I kicked around a few years ago. He probably got the idea from somebody else, or maybe he thought it up himself. He's a brilliant guy. Anyways, he's busy. He's kicking butt with his JWStruggle.org, which I love. He's kicking butt with his YouTube channel, which I love. Anyways, there's another fella, I can't remember his name. He's on Facebook, and he's involved in AWA, Advocates Against Watchtower Abuses. And he also is in the media business, the film business, and he too wanted to do a movie. Maybe he's made more progress at it than I have. I don't know. Wouldn't it be great to have 2 movies about Ray Franz? Anyways, that's my big idea. And I've been doing some planning, some outlining, some steps. And the only way to make a really good movie is, a great idea, a great script, and then you have to find somebody that can, that can blow on those glowing embers of a great idea. And the blowing part takes money. It takes investors and things like that. So, will it ever happen? I really hope that it will. Everything starts with ideas. The whole universe starts with ideas, good ideas. And I have those, and some of you out there have those. Anyways, let me get to some more of the nuts and bolts of this notion. A friend of mine is a filmmaker. He went to film school. He was not raised at JW. He was allowed to go to college. He went to film school. He's written several scripts. He's made some small productions. He's also worked on some network shows, doing, a variety of tasks. He knows the business. He has a couple of contacts. So this is a connection that obviously, is a good one. He loves to write. He's a great script writer. And he gave me, I ran the whole idea by him. He gave me some ideas. He says, first of all, find out who your audience is. Well, the audience would be, I guess the Christian video market, right? The Passion of the Christ crowd. That's a big market. There's a lot of churches that have outreach programs that would play a film about Ray Franz because it's a film about the Watchtower and about escaping the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. And that is why a lot of churches and religious groups, I think, would be interested in picking up the film, in carrying it in maybe their DVD collection, that sort of thing. So my market would be obviously former Jehovah's Witnesses like you and me, fading, struggling Jehovah's Witnesses, dissident Jehovah's Witnesses, but also former Scientologists, former Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists that have been disfellowshipped. Did you know they get disfellowshipped too? Yeah, they do. Not as serious as the shunning that Jehovah's Witnesses met out, but still serious. Anyways, so yes, former cult members, cult survivors is a better word. I would appeal to them, but also we'd have to appeal to the larger group of ones that are, concerned Christians that would be interested in seeing the inner workings of the Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses, and their corporations. So that's your audience. So that's the first thing he told me. He says, you got to find your audience. Next thing he says to me is he says, put together vignettes. Vignette in the sense of an idea for one scene that's going to be in the movie. Put together a vignette, put it on a 3x5 card. Write it out or type it out on a 3x5 card. Now, how much could you fit on that card? Well, I don't know, 2 paragraphs maybe. Enough to flesh out a scene. And then he says to me, when you get between 50 and 60 of those, give me a call. Because at that point, we will probably have enough vignettes to start arranging them on a big board. They do this all the time. TV shows do this. Film projects do this. Arrange your vignettes on a big board and start figuring out the order and how you connect them together. And then when I get to that point, he says, I'll help you write the script. And I'm like, wow, this is great. This is beautiful. Now, I have written, I don't know, maybe about 20 of these so far. Obviously, the source material is going to come from as much information as I can get about Ray Franz's life, which would, of course, come from his 2 seminal works, Crisis of Conscience and In Search of Christian Freedom. There's also individuals that know Ray, knew Ray, and I have been able to speak with a few of them, and whether it's phone or email. Also, there's other sources floating around, emails that Ray wrote, some other short essays and things that he did. So this is our source material. Now, let me give you an example of one of these vignettes. Here's one scene, one vignette from the Ray Franz movie. All right, we have a young minister. He's preaching in a public place in a foreign land, and it's a marketplace, and he's talking to people. He's sincere, he's earnest, he's flipping his well-worn Bible over, he's reading scriptures to people, and then all of a sudden, shots ring out. There's gunfire, machine gun fire. He and his partner hit the deck. They crawl, hand over hand, arm over arm, on their bellies. Things are exploding. Bombs are going off. There's a rebel force on one side. There's an army, soldiers on the other side. Trujillo's army. This is when he was assigned in, I believe it was Chile. And he is crawling for safety. And he literally has to wait, squeezed into a crawl space in between 2 buildings until nightfall. Finally, the fighting slows down or it moves elsewhere. He's able to slink out of that alleyway, get safely home. And then to finish up the scene, the next day, the next morning, he's back in that very same square preaching God's word again. Brave, courageous man, Ray Franz, that he was. He loved the missionary work. He had no interest in going to world headquarters and becoming some big shot. This is just one scene, one vignette in the Ray Franz movie. Now, does that get you excited? Does that make you tingle a little bit? Inside, outside, all around you? You see, it does me. The Ray Franz movie could have a lot of exciting vignettes. Think about Malawi. Think about a boardroom where they're talking about oral sex rules. Think about when he learns the truth about the truth. Tat, his friend Ed Dunlap, and another gentleman that was a writer with him in the writing department. The 2 of them come to Ray and they say, Ray, we have to show you these things. And they show him quotes from the 1910s and the 1920s, even the late 1800s. They show him all the insanity. At first, Ray doesn't even want to admit it. He starts to fall back on the same old excuses that we've all heard witnesses use. But then he realizes, I need to wake up. And he does. Ray woke up to Tat by these courageous men that helped him in the writing department. A lot of people don't know that story. That's one more vignette. There's so many of these. Anyways, if you think this is a good idea, let me know. Maybe together we can make it happen. Maybe you can submit more vignettes to me. We can collaborate. It's not about glory or money or importance. I don't care if I make this with me and one other guy, or if it's a team of 1,000 people. I don't care. I want the Ray Franz movie to be made because it would be amazing. And so that's my big idea for the day. I hope that I have fired you up. I hope that I have encouraged you to think big. Because together we can do these things. I really believe that. That's my message of positivity for the day. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, JW Strugglers. I'll see you next time.